Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Action.
Second time's a charm.
Second time.
Hey, you guys. It's Mira and Brian.
And
We're so excited to be here with you for another weekly episode. So let me know if you guys can see and hear us. Oh, there's Franny from North Carolina. Awesome, girl. Hey. Yeah, let us know. Put in a comment if you can hear us, see us. We are doing this with a smartphone gimbal to just skip all technical errors. There's Dennis, Shalane, fun. Yay! So excited to see you guys. So it is Wednesday and it is a new episode. Yay, Brianna made it in our live confidence series in this Facebook group, the Confidence Group. And we are so excited to talk to you today about confidence with your camera specifically. That's what we're diving into today. So I'm so relieved that you can not only see us, but you can hear us. Hi. Oh my gosh, so we have a crazy week right now. I don't know about the rest of you, but our week is like nutso. I am heading out to LA and San Francisco tomorrow for photo shoots. And you know how like the day before you leave, you feel like there's a million things that you have to do. But as Blaze was reminding me before we started, somehow it all gets done. And it really does. Did you do your thing?
I think so.
Okay, how's it going, guys?
We'll see.
Is the feed better? Is it looking? Oh, yay!
Even though
Brianna
he
says
hasn't.
it's looking good, even though you haven't done anything.
Oh, I did a lot of things. I ran up and down the stairs 3 times, and then I did 3 circles. And so.
All right, so I am going to officially start this episode. Okay, so for those of you who will be watching this at a later time on YouTube, because we're going to share this video on YouTube, we want you to know that we are coming back with more Adventure Family episodes. We're just going to spend some time putting up episodes for you that have to do specifically with photography. A lot of people have been asking and emailing about that, wanting help on those things. And so, like what camera to buy, or next week we're going to talk about what lens to buy, what the difference is between partial and full frame sensors, crop sensors, all of that stuff.
We talked about sensors last week.
So we're going to share all that kind of content on our YouTube channel.
On the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. It'd help if I was listening.
It would.
Yeah. I'll try listening.
So we're going to be sharing that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, we are editing episodes on Greece, Paris, Belgium, Thailand, tons of places. And we will be coming back with those weekly episodes too. So you just stay tuned. And hopefully you learn about photography in the meantime.
And other great stuff in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah. All kinds of stuff.
Maybe I'll start listening a little more.
Okay. Are you with me? Are you with me? I feel like there's a delay with Brian.
There's a delay. There's a delay with me.
So, okay, let's get started. What we want to do is we want to talk about unpacking the roadmap to confidence, okay? The roadmap to getting confidence with your camera. And what we're going to do is we're just going to like highlight some of the things in this roadmap.
Yes.
It's a 10-page guide for those of you who have not downloaded it. It's free. We made it for you, and the link is above in this post, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's down below in the video description. And it's a 10-page free guide that really helps build a foundation for you on how to gain confidence with your camera. That is something that we're asked about all the time for the last 10, 12 years. And so Brian and I thought, like, let's put something together that people can print off and just have like goals to hit and steps to go through. So there are 7 steps in the guide, and there are also 3 mistakes to avoid that all pros and beginners are susceptible to making. And then there's some other little fun things in there as you go.
Well, I love this thing. I
You
love
wanna
the
hold it?
sure, yeah. I love the roadmap because people will say, "Hey, this is what I'm working on now. This is where I'm struggling right now." But what I loved about the roadmap is, one, they'll give them an idea of how to tackle that if they don't have an idea for it, and then two, it'll give them a sense of where they're at, just in general. Like, okay, once I solve this one issue, or once I get better at this, then I have an idea of what's next and what's next. Because it's not just like, oh, if I just, could focus properly, or if I just bought the right camera, or if I just had my prices the right amount and had the right packages, then everything would be perfect.
Yeah.
Because there isn't. It's a journey, and so that's what I love about this roadmap. Is I feel like it gives us, like, it gives you and me and.
Until we get
Okay.
There we
Oh,
are.
it says we're back. Anyways, Tanya, you joined. We haven't had any technical difficulties again.
we were like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh. The internet gods must not want you to have this important information.
Yes, which means you need it that much
You
more.
need this. But I love the roadmap because it gives me a sense of what to expect on this journey and how to keep it up, how to pace myself, what to be looking for ahead, and to also know where have I come from. How far have I come on this journey?
Yeah.
And I love this. This was such a great idea, Mira.
I think that the thing about photography is that there is so much to learn. And the internet has like endless information for you to be up all night reading, blogs for you to be looking at, people's work for you to compare yourselves to, that I feel like the internet is seriously the largest player in what makes us feel insecure
Totally.
about our work, because we
Right.
either think that we're never going to be as good as so-and-so, or there's so much still to learn that we'll never be able to have a sense of confidence because we'll never know everything. And that's all a lie. That's not what photography is about. Photography is not about knowing everything. It's about listening and
good news.
looking for the story that is capturing your heart, and helping capture that for other people who don't have a camera, who don't have that sense of seeing the world visually, and then the healing that comes from that. That is what photography is about. It's not about being the techiest person on the block or being
not-
up to
oh.
date on everything.
I don't know.
It's just not, right?
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah. So that's why we did this. And step number 2, there's 7 steps in the guide, and we thought we would hit step number 2 because this is a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And basically what we said is, in step 2, we said assess your photography skills in 5 categories.
Did you show them
Yeah.
Did you show them the?
So here's the roadmap.
It looks prettier even printed out than it does online. It looks pretty online.
And
feel
I
like.
love that some of you, I think it was Nanette that said, I've already printed this out and put the steps in front of my computer to help remind me every day what to focus on. I love that. So here are the 7 steps kind of put out for you there. And step 2 is about assessing your photography skills in 5 different categories, and really like taking a minute to take inventory and rate your abilities on a scale of like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. I know some people don't like the limitation of 5 stars.
No, I love this because it gives us a sense of, I can feel insecure. Let's say, for me, my weakness was always composition, in the beginning. It was
Yes.
but it was, if I'd had this would have been awesome for somebody like me, because I would have looked at it and go, oh, and I kind of did subconsciously, but it was nice to have something just written down on concrete. I go, oh, but numbers, number 1 and 3 and 5, like, man, I'm a 6.5 out of 5 on those, and the other ones I might be 0s. But it gives me some sense of confidence. Like, I know I'm confident in certain areas.
Well, there's so many things, there's like so many moving parts to photography, right?
Yeah.
And so step 2 like talks about 5 different categories that Brian and I throughout our career have like looked at ourselves with our own work. And one of them is like, how well do you know your equipment? And
That's a good one.
and really like taking the time to get to know your equipment, whether that is going, I wouldn't do it through your camera manual because those are so confusing, but whether that's going online and like learning, or really like even better, going out there and just practicing trial and error at what your camera can do, what your lens can do, what it can't, and really getting to know like what it is you have to work with and how it limits you or how it like gives you abilities that you didn't know. And so that
I love that. Just like picking my camera out, play with it, especially if it's new. There's basically in the back end, you can play, what if I flip this switch? What if I flip this switch? What if I flip this switch?
that's
With
totally
everything.
you.
That's totally me.
That's totally Brian.
I'm like, what if I do this? What if? But there's a thing where you can reset your camera settings back to the original settings.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome is that? So you can mess it up all you want to experiment and see what
Play
things
around.
do.
Yeah.
And you'll get everything back in the end.
I think that coinciding with that is one of the other categories is understanding your, Magic 3 and shooting in manual. And we've done an episode on how we shoot in manual and keep it easy. But just practicing that, like making the decision to practice shooting in manual for a year
Yeah.
is such a great exercise, because here's the thing, and I don't feel like I can say this enough, especially to women, because for whatever reason, women, we expect a lot more perfectionism of ourselves than men do. I'm not all men, but it seems like we as women, I've noticed over the last 10, 12 years, 15 years of being in the industry, that women really, we expect ourselves to do it right. And if we don't get it right the first time, second or third time, we start wondering if we should give up. Well, when you're learning to shoot in manual, there's a learning curve. It takes time. And it's very difficult to like focus on shooting in manual and also focus on creative storytelling, because those are 2 different parts of your brain. And so it would be wonderful for you to give yourself permission to just focus on one or the other. And, maybe you do some storytelling exercises for yourself with your camera, but really like you commit, like this year, I am going to really master shooting in manual, and I'm going to get a hold of it, because I know that once I do, there's going to be so many other like creative type shots I can do with magical light and blurry backgrounds that are buttery, all of that kind of stuff.
I mean, there's so many times I challenge people from the Magic Light workshops, the confidence workshops, who either were struggling with focus and reframing or struggling with just exposure, shooting in manual. And I say, reconnect.
Oh, there we are.
I challenge them that not even just a whole year, but just, can you do it for 2 weeks? Can you go outside and shoot the mailbox, come inside and shoot something, go outside and shoot your patio furniture? Can you shoot?
Photograph.
Can you photograph 3 times a day inanimate objects, and just practice shooting in manual, or practice focusing and reframing for 14 days. If you can do 14 days, you're going to get so good.
Yeah.
Let alone a year, but start with 14 days. See if you can do it.
Yeah, I think that I love what Linda just said, that Linda just took our confidence workshop a couple weeks ago, and she says that I try to forget that there's even an automatic mode option. That's awesome, Linda.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so this is something that Brian and I are encouraging you to do, because we've done it ourselves over the years. 1 year, we literally just focused on mastering how to shoot in manual. And I'll tell you what, our photos got worse before they got better, because that's the way of creativity. Every time you're learning something new, your work suffers a little bit. And so you gotta like put the judging ear in the back, the backstage for a while and just not listen to it. Another year we focused on
Color.
color, yes. And that might sound weird to you, but here's the thing. Everybody sees in color. for the most part, well, not everybody, some people can't see in color, but a majority of us see in color. And so how do you capture a color photo that stops people? How do you use light and the different shades of color in that moment to really compose a shot that captures people, that is not based on editing, but is just straight out of camera? And so for a year, we focused on that specific thing and really pushed our awareness of color. During that time, I took a painting class. And I'm not a painter. I don't have any natural talent or ability with that. But I took the painting class because I wanted to understand color more. I wanted to see color on a different level. And when we were in this class, the teacher was talking about mixing shades and all the different shades of green that go into like a landscape painting. And it just opened my mind to seeing and being aware of color in a new way. And so it's funny, it can sound so simple, right? Like to focus on color for a year, but you can really dive deep with some of these things. And that's what we're referring to in step 2 with the roadmap to confidence with your camera. He's so funny.
And what was that? So we had, let's see, so we're on step 2. We're talking about 5 categories.
Were you listening?
Yes, Mira.
Are you tuned in?
We just did knowing your equipment. We did the shooting a manual, and you just talked about creative composition.
So are you looking right here? Because now it looks like you're actually looking at them. When you were... So look at that little dot, and they'll feel like you're talking to them.
Look over here.
Versus like some random spot over here.
I'm looking at you on the phone. And so and then you just said creative composition.
Yes. Can we not do that?
No, we can't.
And then another one is helping people relax in front of the camera. And how do we do that, right? And so, but that's towards the end of step 2 in these 7 steps, because that's a whole skill in itself. And here's the thing, if you're unsure about how to shoot in manual, and if you're not confident yet in elements of storytelling or creative composition, then your mind is full and busy with trying to figure that stuff out, and is that much more inaccessible to like connect with your subject. And so you've got it. The whole reason we did this map is I feel like more than anything is to show you where you can cut yourself some slack, okay? Like where you can take some pressure off yourself, because none of us are superheroes and none of us are perfect and able to do this straight out of the gate.
I'm a bit of a superhero, man.
Yes, that's true. And so what do you focus on first, and giving yourself permission to really get comfortable in that space before you start judging your efforts and like judging whether or not you should even be holding a camera, like I know so many of you do, right?
Right.
And so, okay, so step 2. Let's talk about another step in the roadmap.
I like step 4, Mira. You talk about this quite often, right? With copying them. Tell us about when you took piano as a little kid.
Yeah, so I took piano for years growing up, and oh, that's so great. Juanita and Tanya both said that they really needed to hear that today. Awesome, awesome. That's so encouraging for us to hear. So I took for years I took piano lessons, and I remember, when you are learning piano, you are learning like watered down versions of Beethoven or of Mozart, right?
You're a beginner. Why would you be doing the masters?
Very, very watered down versions. And I remember like that's where you start. And as you get better and better, you get like the more complex versions of those same songs.
I'm offended.
But like no one ever in our neighborhood heard me practicing and marched over to our house and like, banged on our front door and said, "Who does she think she is? Copying Beethoven."
I would have done that. I would have marched on over.
Does she think that she's actually like as good as Beethoven? No, nobody says that, because everybody knows that when you're learning an instrument, you often start by copying the masters. And it's not just with music, it's with painting. Painting is the same thing.
Right.
You do that. What else do people do that with? You can put it up there.
Well,
but-
Michelangelo, remember?
Yeah.
He proved himself to be a master because he got his big break with Rome because he copied the Roman statues, and he got a friend to sell it as if it was an authentic antique. And at that point in history, during like the 1500s, nobody could carve marble the way that the Romans could. And so the fact that he could fake one of the ancient masters, once the guy bought it, he told him that this was a fake, and the guy goes, man, this guy's amazing. This is actually a new sculptor who can sculpt as good as the ancients.
Yeah.
That's what gave him the break to be able to go, because his second job after that was the, oh my gosh, I'm totally spacing it. It's in the Vatican. The,
Sistine Chapel?
no, it's the Mother Mary and, come on, somebody help me.
Oh, what is it? Yes, the Pietà or the
Pietà.
Pietà. Mhm.
And I think that is amazing. And so until you can copy masters, in some ways, no one can believe that you're good. And so that's why we do that.
Well, I know, like, with speaking, I have listened to several speakers that I respect, and I like their presence, and I think about, like, emulating some of, like, how they carry themselves on a stage for when I'm doing my own speaking. So with writing, when I am working on a writing project, I often will start by typing a page from a favorite book by an author I love. And that will get me in the zone of like that creative space. And I'm not like going to plagiarize her stuff. It's just me getting into the rhythm of words, the rhythm of describing things. And so copying a master is something that lots of different schools do. But for whatever reason, when it comes to photography, people like freak out if they think that you're trying to copy someone else. I don't know if any of you have noticed that, but it's so weird to me because that's how we learn, right?
Totally. I mean, I tell people in our workshops all the time that when I was really good at shooting in really tight and close-up photos, but when I wanted to learn to shoot wide, I basically found my favorite landscape photographer, and I just started copying them. And trying to figure out how did they see this for the very first time. And then I eventually got a lot better at shooting wide angle. And now I look for stuff myself instead of trying to copy what someone else has done. But I still even do that. I go to a new place and I might copy what they've done. That's fine, Mary. We're not looking at that one.
Okay.
I might copy what they've done because I've never been to that new place. I might as well just start with, well, what do the locals know about their place that they love? And I'll start by copying those, and then I'll do my new stuff.
Well, tell them about a project that you just finished like this week.
So, like Mira was saying, when she goes and she writes, she copies, she'll sometimes start typing something that one of her favorite authors has done before she starts writing. And so I watched different YouTube shows. I never watched them until we started making ours.
For Adventure Family.
For Adventure Family, yeah. And so I started watching a handful, and I really liked Casey Neistat's. And so I decided, you know what, before I edit every time, I'm going to watch one of his episodes. And I just picked one. There's a ton of people out there, but that guy has been making videos for 20 years almost.
Yeah.
Right? He was making videos for 10 years before he even started doing YouTube. And
yeah.
He's a master. He's a master at his craft. And so I watch one of his videos before I start editing, and then to kind of get me in sync with what people are doing there. And then when we went to Houston, I'd been doing that, and so I kind of changed my filming style because I was thinking of a storyline in the way that he tells his stories.
He's talking about when we went to Houston to bring like relief efforts. Our family went down there. We because so many of you gave donations, we thought we should film this whole thing so everybody can see like exactly how it went. Mm-hmm. And so you were filming.
So I filmed it. I remember at times even Mira giving me a hard time, going, "Oh, come on, Brian, let's be done," and stuff. But I had a vision. And I'd never done it this way before, but I've seen somebody who I respected do it, so I'm just going to do it. And so we came home, and I started editing. And so normally when we do our YouTube videos, I'll do the rough cut, and then we give it to a friend of ours who finishes them up. for us.
Who like really like tightens them and adds like a little bit of shine.
He's been making videos for
But you take it
forever.
Brian we usually have like, I don't know, several hours, maybe 8 hours of content we filmed. Brian narrows it down to about 20. And then our friend, who's really great with editing, helps narrow that 20 minutes down to like 9 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the whole process is like 22 hours long.
And we pay him a little bit, but it's not. Trust me, we underpay him. We basically, he'd make more money working at McDonald's, I think.
That's not, he just believes in adventure family.
He does.
He wants to see it get off the ground.
He does. But so anyway, so this video, I just released it. It's my very first one that's just all me and
you editing.
All me editing. I mean, it's all four of us in the video, but I mean, I'm nervous, and so I know what it's like when you copy a master. And trust me, it's not going to be as good as Casey Neistat's best YouTube videos, right? But I'm not competing against him. I'm just growing from myself. He wasn't where I was doing what I did, and so he doesn't have what So anyways, I've copied him. I'm going to continue to grow and keep doing this. And I just put it up a couple hours ago if you want to go watch it when you're done watching this one. But I'm nervous. I'm like, what are people going to think? But I'm telling you this to let you know, hey, Jenny, to tell you that we practice what we preach. That what's in this roadmap to confidence, we use it still. We still use these steps in here to continue to grow our skills as photographers, videographers, editors, producers. Mm-hmm. This is our roadmap.
And that we understand that you feel like your work feels worse or vulnerable before it gets better when you're learning something new. So Brian put this it's part one of the hurricane relief work we did, Hurricane Harvey relief work we did in Houston. And he's been so jittery since yesterday. What if people don't like it? What if they think I did a horrible job? How many of you can relate with that? How many of you can connect with feeling like you go out to do a photo shoot and what if the client hates my photos? What if I do a horrible job? What if I screw this up, And you can just riddle yourself right back into a corner where you never want to risk anything. But if you're in that space, you're in an awesome space because that is really where creativity lives. That's where confidence grows. If you want your confidence to grow, you need to challenge it. You need to push it. There's no reason for something to grow that's never like pushed or challenged or made strong because it's withstood things. And so anyway, so we just want you to know that we're in this with you.
We're in this with you. Go get the roadmap to confidence and join us on the road, on this journey to confidence with your camera and life. It's life, Mira.
I felt like Oprah was going to walk
Live your best life, everybody.
into our bedroom.
She copied me.
She copied you.
Oh my God, Oprah, you're here. She's not here. I made that up.
So hold this for a second. I want to hit one more thing.
Yes, what's one more thing?
In the roadmap, we talk about mistakes to avoid. And these are mistakes that everybody makes, okay? Not just beginners, but pros too. And one of them is one of my favorite is really like being online after 10 o'clock at night. And this kind of goes with what Brian was just talking about. So we have this rule in our family in our marriage, where we don't talk about finances or look at other people's photography or cinematography after 10 o'clock at night.
Or even browse the internet.
Even really be online. Because nothing good happens usually after 10 o'clock at night. If we're talking about finances, we always end up fighting because we're too tired.
No matter how good finances could be, we'll fight.
Just still fight.
So if they're not good, we definitely don't want to talk about it after 10 o'clock at night.
And then if we're looking at other people's work, then instead of looking at their work as a way to learn how to do better ourselves, how to be inspired or challenged, we end up looking at their work as a comparison and what we're not doing and how bad ours is compared to theirs. And so, babe, when you're looking at Casey Neistat's work,
I do it in the morning. I do it the first thing in the morning. At night, we're just tired. Mm-hmm. And when we're tired, we're vulnerable, right? We're weak. And I think when we're weak and vulnerable, our natural instinct is to compare ourselves with somebody else.
Yeah.
Versus, it takes a little bit of muscle to watch somebody's and be analytical about somebody's work that we respect and that we appreciate, and to not compare ourselves, because comparing ourselves will never lead us. It's always taking us off the road to confidence and basically off a cliff to our destruction. And it's after 10 o'clock, we know that if we try to compare ourselves, that we're just going to fall off a cliff. And we fall until we get offline and go to bed.
We do, I like what Jessica just posted. She said that in summary, that she struggles with feeling like insecure if her clients don't respond right after she sends them photos, or right after she sends her price quotes, or people like, are they like appalled by what her pricing
We've never felt
is?
that way, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh. See, so this is another part of the guide, and it talks about the importance of being in community, because you need to know that you're not alone, and that some of those fears are just part of the game. There are just elements to different things that we do that you can't avoid. And so even though I've been doing portraits for 15 years now, I'm flying to LA tomorrow and San Francisco to do family photo shoots there. But you know what? I still feel that way, Jessica. When I send my client their work and I'm excited for them to see it, if I don't hear back from them right away, I'm like, oh no, what if they didn't like what I did? How insane is that? I have a show on Disney Junior that's been playing for 4 years. I've done all these, I feel like our phone, just right now represented the insanity of all that. But I've just, I've done all these things, and whether it's being a Sony artisan or being on Live with Kelly, there's no reason I should doubt my abilities and my work, but I always do after a shoot. I'm always like, and you know why I've quit worrying about that? Because I thought okay, well, maybe the goal is to get to a place where, I don't know, where we just don't have those struggles anymore, right? Brian's doing something with this phone. So maybe that's the goal. Maybe the goal is to get to a place where we just don't struggle with that anymore. And I was mistaken in thinking that was the goal, because the truth that I have found is that if I really value the work that I do, and if I really put my heart and soul and emotions and everything into it, I am always going to feel an element of fear that somebody else won't connect with it, because of how heavily I've invested who I am into it. And this is the difference between being a working artist and doing something for work that is kind of brain dead, 9 to 5, and really you're in auto mode all the time. This is the part that really divides divides the crowd, because if you are going to put yourself into your work and really invest who you are going to feel somewhat vulnerable that other people are going to connect with it, or they're going to hate it.
Especially things that we care about.
Yeah. And so, Jessica, I just want to say that you are in great company. I feel like the way you're feeling actually acknowledges that you are a photographer, that you are doing the work, because some of the fears that photographers struggle with, if you're not struggling with them on some level, then I don't know that you're really in it. You know what I'm saying? So
I know what you're saying. It's like you're one of those people that have no problems in life and everything always works good for you. You're not a real person.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's not really what I'm saying.
No, they're robots. They're actually not real people.
So we want to be working artists who put all of who we are into what we create, right? That's what makes our work unique. That's what makes it meaningful. That's what makes it valuable to ourselves and the time it takes as well to others. And that should always be our goal, that we gave it everything we had. We didn't hold anything back. The goal should never be to have the response and reward of everyone that sees it, because that will come and go. That, like, sometimes that will be there and sometimes it won't. And what will sustain us when it's not there is that we knew that we were doing what our heart was telling us to do, and we were creating what we were meant to create. And that's the goal at the end of the day. So, so confidence is not something we gain from being a technical expert, from knowing our gear inside and out, and like knowing that manual that we could say it, you know, backwards. It really comes from getting out there and doing it and allowing ourselves to kind of stumble along the way and make mistakes and figure it out as we go. But then also having a community like this where we can like get that support and connect with people. So, okay, how are you doing, guys? Oh, this is great. This is great. The comments are like really like letting us know that you're connecting with that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've done,
I'm gonna grab a battery for this gimbal. Do you mind?
No, we're almost
Okay.
done. So one of the things that we've done is we have started this week launching daily prompts in our Confidence Facebook group. And we worked with a graphic designer to help us do this because we just love how this community is nurturing and supporting and how safe it is. And we know that there's a lot of you still that don't know how to post, or you feel a little bit like gun shy of leaving a comment or sharing an image. And so that's why I worked with a graphic designer to make these daily prompts, is to give those of you who are a little bit gun shy of joining in the conversation, to give you something to comment on and not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm putting up a new post and I don't know if everyone's going to think I'm an idiot or not. Nobody would, but I know that it can feel like you can feel that fear.
Usually we'll just be glad that someone finally asked that question.
Yeah, there's been some great posts this last week on someone that almost got taken advantage of by a scam that they were presented with. And I loved how all of you jumped in to help her decipher whether or not that was a scam. Another gal whose client wasn't like super happy with the images she did. And what's her role? Does she refund them? Does she not? And then I just love all the photos that are being posted by just parents and grandparents that want to share what they've captured and want feedback on it. It's just really beautiful and moving. And so I should say this, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not in our private Confidence Facebook group, click on the roadmap guide and there will be a link in that to join it, because it's a beautiful community. But so those daily prompts are going to be coming every day.
Yay.
Just kind of give you guys a new way to share who you are with us and your voice. Anything else? Oh, next week, we're going to do an episode on how to buy the right lens, how to know that you have the right lens.
Sweet.
So we did an episode. We can only see your nose, just so you know. I don't know that it's kind of icky.
Well,
just lift it up a little bit. Well, when it's just your nose.
Well, I didn't want to just see you
Right.
like just your head.
So, here, let me hold it. Here. Oh, that's why. All right. All right, here you go. So we are going to do episode next week, and Amy just said, "Oh my gosh, I've been watching the wrong video."
Watch your thumb there, right next to the finish button.
What video have you been watching?
Hopefully it was a good video.
You're so cute. So we talked last week about what camera to buy, and just lots of you gave us so much feedback that was so helpful. Some of you really felt like you understood what the difference is between a crop and a full frame sensor for the first time. So that was just great to hear. And so lenses is a whole nother topic that we thought we would cover when I'm back from California and before I head to Virginia. We're gonna squeeze it. We're gonna squeeze it in there.
Sweet, babe. Okay. I wasn't sure we were up for it.
So you guys, I know this is I think this is a little bit shorter than we normally do, but we just wanted to connect with you still this week and encourage you to get that roadmap guide and print it off and put it up in front of your computer, and then let us know in the group what steps you're working on, like which ones you're focusing on, and show us photos of the results of that. I would love to see. Is that it,
Yeah,
babe?
that's it. Me too. I'd love to see also.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Thanks for hanging in there with the beginning of how hiccupy things were, and we will see you in the Confidence Facebook group.
All right.
Okay?
Yay. Bye.
I'll let you.